What happens when a beloved soul singer's carefully crafted image collides with hard truths on live television? The answer might surprise you. What unfolded between Teddy Swims and Kelly Clarkson during what was meant to be a simple promotional interview quickly turned into one of the most talked about moments in daytime TV. The Kelly Clarkson show was running smoothly that Tuesday afternoon. Teddy Swims, the Georgia-born powerhouse whose soulful voice and heavily tattooed exterior had won millions of fans, was there to promote his latest album in a standard 12-minute segment. What began as friendly chatter about his journey soon took a sharp and uncomfortable turn when Kelly, known for her bold and unfiltered interview style, decided to push deeper than expected. "So, Jate," she began, using his real name with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "Your rise to fame has been incredible to watch, but there's been some chatter online about your early performances versus what we're hearing now. Some fans say your voice sounds different, more produced. What's your response to that?" The question lingered in the air like smoke. Teddy's easy grin faltered for a moment as his fingers instinctively adjusted his beanie. "Well, Kelly, I think that's just the natural evolution of an artist, you know? When you're performing in dive bars and posting covers online, the sound quality isn't exactly studio grade." Kelly didn't back off. "I'm not talking about sound quality," she said, leaning forward slightly. "I'm talking about your actual vocal technique. There are vocal coaches online doing breakdowns saying there are inconsistencies that raise questions about authenticity in your recorded work." The audience, once buzzing with excitement, grew tense. Teddy's polite smile stayed in place, but his posture stiffened. "I'm not sure what you're getting at, Kelly. Are you questioning whether I can actually sing?" "I'm not questioning anything," Kelly replied smoothly. "I'm giving you a platform to address what people are saying. Authenticity is everything in this business, and your whole brand is built on being this genuine, soulful guy who came from nothing. But some industry insiders are whispering that maybe the story isn't as organic as it seems." The camera caught the tension in Teddy's face as his jaw tightened. "Industry insiders, that's pretty vague, don't you think? If someone has something to say about my authenticity, they should say it to my face instead of hiding behind anonymous whispers." Kelly's tone hardened. "Fair enough. Let me be more specific. There are claims that your viral success wasn't as grassroots as you've said, that there was major industry backing from the start, manufactured moments designed to look organic. Social media manipulation, paid promotion disguised as genuine fan engagement." "Wow," Teddy said, his southern drawl deepening as his patience thinned. "So now you're not just questioning my voice, you're questioning my entire career on live television." Kelly's voice sharpened. "I'm asking the questions your fans deserve answers to. Because if there's one thing I can't stand, it's fake authenticity. The music industry is full of smoke and mirrors, and sometimes the biggest stories are the ones that seem too perfect to be true." The room felt heavier with each word. The audience shifted uncomfortably, unsure whether they were witnessing an interview or an ambush. Teddy's hands, usually animated when he spoke, were gripping the arms of his chair tightly now. "You know what, Kelly?" he said in a low, steady tone that carried easily through the microphones. "I came here to talk about my music, to connect with people, to share my story. I didn't come here to be ambushed by someone with a personal agenda." Kelly's eyebrows shot up. "A personal agenda? My agenda is the truth. My agenda is making sure that artists who earn their success through blood, sweat, and tears aren't overshadowed by marketing campaigns dressed up as authenticity." Her words landed like a slap, echoing through the silent studio as both sat locked in a tense stare. Two performers, two truths, and one moment that neither could take back. Teddy's face flushed crimson beneath his tattoos, the tension radiating off him as if he might explode at any second. Instead, he forced out a laugh that sounded anything but genuine. "That's rich coming from someone who won their career on a reality show," he shot back, instantly regretting the words the moment they left his mouth. The studio fell into an uneasy silence. Kelly's expression hardened, her warmth replaced by a cold, steely calm. "At least I earned my spot on that reality show by actually singing live in front of millions of people," she said, her voice cutting through the air like ice. "No auto-tune, no studio magic, just me and my voice. Can you say the same about your viral videos?" The silence stretched for what felt like an eternity, though only seconds passed. Teddy's face drained of color. Realizing he had crossed a line that could not be uncrossed, Kelly sat back in her chair, her expression unreadable but her eyes blazing with controlled fury. "You want to go there?" she asked quietly, her tone calm but loaded with warning. "Fine. Let's talk about reality shows versus reality." Her words grew sharper, fueled by restrained anger. "When I was on American Idol, every note I sang was scrutinized by millions in real time. There was nowhere to hide, no second takes, no studio wizardry. It was raw talent or nothing." Teddy opened his mouth to respond, but Kelly raised a hand to silence him. "Your viral moment, your big break, that cover of Stay With Me that supposedly launched your career. Do you want to tell the audience how many takes that actually was? Because I have it on good authority it wasn't the one-take miracle your team claimed it was." The accusation hung in the air like a toxic cloud. Just off camera, Teddy's media handler was frantically gesturing for the host to cut to commercial. But neither Kelly nor Teddy seemed aware of anything beyond their escalating confrontation. "You're unbelievable, Kelly," Teddy snapped, leaning forward as anger overtook restraint. "You're so threatened by artists who didn't have to crawl through your industry gatekeepers that you can't handle it when someone finds success on their own terms." Kelly let out a sharp laugh devoid of humor. "On your own terms? Oh, Jade, honey," she said, her tone dripping with sarcasm. "Nothing about your career has been on your own terms. You've got a team of handlers, image consultants, and vocal coaches fixing every imperfection, social media experts crafting every post to look authentic. You're as manufactured as any boy band. You're just better at hiding it." The studio was deathly silent now. A few audience members covered their mouths in disbelief. This wasn't just uncomfortable television anymore, this was a live, unfiltered implosion. Teddy's voice trembled with fury. "That's enough," he said, his words shaking with barely controlled rage. "I don't have to sit here and let you destroy everything I've worked for over gossip and industry politics." "Industry politics?" Kelly shot back, her voice rising for the first time. "This isn't politics, this is about integrity. Do you have any idea how many real artists are struggling right now because of people like you? Manufactured personas taking up all the oxygen, while real talent gets pushed aside because labels want the next viral sensation instead of nurturing authentic voices." "Real singers?" Teddy barked, standing up so suddenly his chair rolled backward across the stage. "Lady, I've been singing since I was 5 years old in church choirs. I've played every dive bar from Atlanta to Nashville. I've slept in my car, lived off gas station food, and kept going because music is all I have. Don't you dare question my credentials just because I learned how to use social media to bypass your precious industry machine." Kelly rose to her feet too, her energy matching his. "Using social media is one thing," she shot back, her tone sharp as glass. "Manipulating it is another, and we both know which category your success falls into." The tension was unbearable. Producers on set were waving their arms, making frantic throat-cutting gestures to cue a commercial break. But the two stars stood locked in their confrontation, voices raised, emotions raw, and the studio audience frozen in disbelief at the live meltdown unfolding before them. But neither Kelly nor Teddy seemed aware of anything beyond each other now. The crew's frantic gestures, the shifting audience, the rising tension, all faded into the background as the two locked eyes across the small stretch of studio floor. Teddy leaned forward slightly, his voice dropping to a low, dangerous whisper. "You want to know what I think this is really about?" he said. "I think you're bitter that the industry's changed. That artists don't have to kiss the ring anymore, don't have to crawl through talent shows and label politics to reach their audience. And I think what really burns you up is that a tattooed guy from Georgia can do what you do without ever needing your approval." Kelly's eyes flashed with fury, her jaw tightening as she leaned in. "My approval?" she shot back, her voice icy and precise. "Honey, you couldn't carry my vocals on your best day, even with a studio full of engineers fixing your pitch. And the fact that you think social media followers equal talent just shows how delusional this new generation of artists has become." "There it is," Teddy said, pointing at her accusingly. The real Kelly Clarkson. Not the bubbly talk show host, not the supportive mentor, the bitter has-been who can't handle that the game has changed. The words hit her like a slap. Kelly's mouth opened slightly, her expression shifting from disbelief to something raw and wounded. For a split second, she looked genuinely hurt before anger replaced it like a storm cloud sweeping in. "Has been?" she repeated, her tone low and trembling with rage. A has-been with multiple Grammys, decades of success, and the vocal range to sing circles around manufactured pretty boys like you? That kind of has-been? Teddy's voice hardened. All that success and you're still this insecure about new artists? That's actually kind of sad, Kelly. Maybe that's why your show's struggling in the ratings. People can smell desperation. The jab hit its mark. Kelly's composure shattered, her expression tightening as she stood up abruptly. "Get out," she said quietly. Teddy blinked, caught off guard. "What?" "I said, get out of my studio," Kelly repeated, her voice firm but trembling at the edges. "This interview is over. Security will escort you out if necessary. I'm done pretending to be professional while you insult everything I've worked for." For a moment, Teddy just stared at her, the shock written clearly across his face. The studio was dead silent, only the faint hum of the cameras filled the air. Then finally he straightened. "Fine by me," he said, his bravado returning. "I don't need this platform anyway. I built my career without traditional media, and I'll keep building it the same way." He turned to walk away, then stopped and looked back, unable to resist one final blow. "You know what the difference is between us, Kelly?" he said, his hand already tugging at the mic pack clipped to his belt. "When people listen to my music, they feel something real. When they listen to yours now, they just remember when you used to be relevant." The words landed like a bomb. Kelly's face flickered through shock, hurt, then pure, unfiltered fury. But before she could respond, Teddy had already pulled off his microphone and dropped it onto the chair beside him. "Jate, don't do this," Kelly said suddenly, her tone shifting from anger to pleading. "We can work this out. We can edit this down, make it right for both of us." Teddy shook his head slowly, his decision final. "Nah, Kelly, you wanted authenticity? This is it. This is me walking away from fake people who smile in your face while sharpening knives behind your back." "Fake?" Kelly's voice cracked, her composure breaking again. "I've been nothing but honest with you today. Maybe too honest. But that's not fake, that's real talk." Teddy let out a bitter laugh. "Real talk?" Real talk would have been having this conversation before the cameras started rolling. Real talk would have been giving me a heads up before ambushing me with gossip. This isn't honesty, Kelly. It's just good television at my expense. For the first time since the argument began, Kelly's shoulders dropped. Her voice softened, almost uncertain. "Look, maybe I came on too strong," she admitted, "but the questions needed to be asked. Your fans deserve to know who they're supporting." "My fans do know," Teddy said firmly, his voice steady again. "They know they're supporting someone who fought his way up from nothing. Someone who never forgot where he came from. Someone who doesn't need validation from people who've lost touch with what real music means to real people." The words hit Kelly hard. She straightened again, the defensive fire returning to her tone. "Lost touch?" she repeated. "I connect with my audience every single day through this show. I support new artists. I celebrate their success." But as she spoke, the energy in the room felt fractured. Two artists from different worlds, both standing by their truth. Both too wounded and proud to back down. Teddy's voice carried an edge as he countered. "You celebrate artists who fit your idea of what success should look like. Artists who came up the way you did, through the system you understand. But when someone finds a different path, suddenly they're manufactured. Suddenly they're not authentic enough for your standards." Kelly opened her mouth to respond but stopped, realizing there might be some truth in his words. The silence between them stretched, heavy and charged with everything that had already been said, and couldn't be unsaid. "This is exactly what's wrong with this industry," Teddy continued, his confidence returning with every word. "People like you, gatekeepers who think you get to decide who's worthy and who isn't. Well, guess what? The gates are gone. Artists don't need your permission anymore, and that terrifies you." "It doesn't terrify me," Kelly said quietly, though her voice wavered just enough to betray uncertainty. "It concerns me when talent gets overshadowed by marketing, when authentic stories get buried under manufactured narratives. And who made you the judge of what's authentic?" Teddy demanded, his tone raw and impassioned. "Who gave you the right to decide whose story is real and whose isn't? You don't know me. You don't know my struggle or what I've sacrificed to get here." Kelly looked up at him, and for a moment the anger in her eyes faded, replaced by something softer. "You're right," she admitted softly. "I don't know your full story, but I do know this industry, and I've seen what happens to artists who get caught up in the machine. I've seen too many talented people lose themselves. Maybe that's your story, Kelly, but it's not mine, Teddy replied, his voice calm but steady. And maybe instead of assuming the worst about artists who do things differently, you could try understanding that the world has changed. Around them, the studio crew remained frozen, unsure whether to intervene or let the unexpected vulnerability play out. Kelly looked around, at the cameras, her staff, the silent audience that had just witnessed the implosion of what was meant to be a lighthearted interview. "You know what?" she said finally, turning back to Teddy. "Maybe you're right about some things. Maybe I've gotten too comfortable in my position, too quick to judge, but I still think the questions needed to be asked, even if I asked them badly." Teddy studied her face for a long moment, as if weighing the sincerity of her words. "The questions weren't the problem, Kelly," he said finally. "It was the way you asked them, the ambush. The accusations disguised as journalism. If you'd wanted a real conversation about authenticity in the music industry, we could have had that. But this was a hit job." A flicker of shame crossed Kelly's face. "That wasn't my intention," she murmured. "Maybe not," Teddy said, already moving toward the edge of the set. "But intention doesn't matter when the result is the same. You tried to tear me down on national television. And for what? Better ratings? A viral moment of your own?" "Jate, wait," Kelly called after him, but he was already at the exit, his security team scrambling to follow. He paused for just a moment and turned back, his expression no longer angry but deeply sad. "You know what's really tragic about all this, Kelly? We're on the same side. We both love music. We both want to see real talent succeed. But somewhere along the way, you forgot that destroying other artists isn't the way to lift the industry up." With that, Teddy Swims walked out of the studio, leaving Kelly Clarkson standing alone on her own set. The stunned crew and silent audience remained frozen as the cameras kept rolling for several seconds longer, capturing the host's face as she tried to process what had just happened. Then finally the feed cut to commercial. What began as a simple promotional interview had unraveled into a raw, unfiltered confrontation about authenticity, success, and the shifting landscape of modern music. Neither artist emerged unscathed, and the fallout from that moment would echo through the entertainment world for weeks to come. So, was Kelly right to challenge the industry's obsession with viral fame? Or did she cross the line by ambushing a guest on live television? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more behind-the-scenes stories about what really happens when the cameras start rolling.